hand over to Michael and we'll get going with today's session.
Ooh, all right, thanks, Liv. Welcome, everyone. Great to be talking acting with you today. Just sort of an overview of today. This is, as Liv said, this is Jay. Jay and I have worked a little bit together on the first year of the Norwich University Arts Acting Program. We'll start by just introducing ourselves so that you get a little bit of a sense of who we are and what our interests are, what we do. And then we're gonna walk through some of the principles of an acting class. So we can talk sort of the big picture about what actor training looks like. Some of you might have some experience in that. So some of this might be new. Some of it might be very old news to you old professional actors out there. But then what we'll do is we'll work through a warm-up, which is a process we can talk more about, but pretty much in most acting spaces, whether it's rehearsals or performances or classes, you'll do a warm-up of some kind. And then we're going to do a little technique training, focusing on an actor's objective, tactics that we'll explain more what that means in a second, and obstacles. And as Liv said, we've got that contentless scene. So what we'll do is Jay and I are gonna play a little bit, do some modeling of how to be brilliant actors doing a scene together. And then we'd love for you to come on and give it a try. So again, as Liv said, if you're over 14 and you're interested in doing that, you can message either Gavin or Liv during the session and they can start to set you up with the permissions and stuff. But it's just a chance to sort of play a little bit and I'll guide you in that if that feels fun for you. So that's kind of the overview of today. Let's start with some introductions. So Jay, do you want to tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be in this course and what what you're thinking in terms of where that work might be going?
Cool. So hi, I'm Jay. My pronouns are he, him. And so obviously I just finished my first year. And so going into my second year and then thinking forward on from my third year, I'm kind of like, I basically want to be in a position where I can work, use myself to get work. And to kind of expand on what I mean there, it's like, I want to be versatile enough that if I know someone that needs help with script writing, or if I need someone or if someone needs me to literally be in a film or be in a show or do things with voice work, literally anything, to the point where I know that I'm not going to be in a massive sense of like struggle because I know I can work in many different avenues. I mean, my main thing, but obviously first and foremost, like direct, film, TV acting, that's like the main thing that I want to do and the main thing that I want to go for. I'd probably say the biggest thing for me is like, because I'm so passionate about acting and acting is so much what I want to do, to me there's like no plan B, if you know what I mean. Because a lot of times when you go into this field, everyone talks about how difficult it is, and that is very, very, very true argument and a very true statement to make. But I feel like if you're passionate enough and you have the truth, you go continue, you will find like work will find you. But yeah, let me not ramble too much, but that's kind of where my head's at. That's kind of the way I'm feeling right now. But yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Jay. Great. So I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. As I said before, my name is Michael. I use the pronouns he, him. And I I went to an actor training course that in a lot of ways, I think is similar to what NUA offers, where it was really sort of supporting and training me to be kind of, as Jay was saying, this like kind of wear lots of different hats in the creative process. Like I was an actor training and I was training to be an actor, and there were opportunities to make films. There were opportunities to do the design work for people. There were opportunities to write. There were opportunities to sort of build up this idea of being the creator in addition to the performer. For those of you that aren't familiar with the sort of the kind of acting career, there's lots of different ways that it can be approached. But one of the most traditional is you go to a conservatory, you get an acting degree, and then you get an agent, and then you wait for work. So you wait for the agent to book you on jobs. What a lot of acting programs are doing, which I know the course leader experience, Brian at NUA, is really focused on, is instead of that sort of getting an agent and waiting, you can get an agent, great, but there's this desire, as Jay sort of pointed to have the equipment to support yourself and to support others in the process of creating stuff as you go. So you might act in somebody's film, but you also might be the line editor for their film, or you might also be the director of the film. So it's really, and this is where I came from as well, just kind of training me to be like a person who acts, but also a person who just understands that I'm in charge of my own creative process, making films and television shows and all of that. So my work, my background is that I studied acting as an undergraduate degree in the United States. I'm from the United States originally. And then I joined a performance collective and moved to Berlin in Germany, where I made what we call contemporary performance, which is kind of like something between theater and dance, I guess. We don't necessarily play characters. We oftentimes are playing ourselves and telling our stories on stage and stuff. And so I lived there and worked there and toured around Europe, working on my own projects and also working for other people. So I think that what Jay's sort of pointing to really supported me, and I could be an actor or a performer or a dancer in someone else's work, and I could also make my own stuff. And so I was always busy. And then about 5 years ago, I moved to London to do a course with experienced Brian, who's the course leader at NUA now, used to be the course leader where I was studying to get my master's degree in a performance research. So I was using performance as a way of asking big questions about the world. And since then, I've been making work in London, performing. I also work as an arts administrator. I also work as a creative coach. Lots of different directions that my work goes in. But at the core of it all has always been theater, acting, performing, training actors, working with artists to do their work. So that's a little bit about us. If you've got questions about that, you can put them in the chat if you got and we might not answer them right away, but we'll have some time at the end to answer questions about, Jay's experience, my experience, our journeys, what it means to be an actor. So to start up, I'd like to do a warm up with you all. So Jay, I know that you've done all kinds of warm ups over this year. I wonder if you can tell us, what's the point of doing a warm up for you? What do you get from doing a warm up?
I would probably say like a warm up. It's kind of feeling of getting into lead. And I know that sounds obvious. Before you do, it'd be a role, a dance, it would be anything. You got your mind first, but you gotta make sure properly. You gotta make sure that you want to be there. You want to.
Hey, Jay.
In that, like, okay.
Hey, Jay, you're kind of, at least from, I don't know if it's for other people, but you're kind of breaking up for me. So, oh yeah, I'm seeing a couple of chats. I don't know if it's possible for you to reconnect. And we'll try to get you back in. But, so I think that what Jay was saying is that, like, basically an actor warm-up is, can everybody see me okay? Am I moving fine like a human being? Jay was saying that an actor, when they're warming up, it's a process of kind of getting into a space of presence, of arriving. One of the biggest things that an actor does is our body is an instrument, right? Cellists have their cello that they play out here, and you know, a musician or a painter has their tools out here. You there, Jay? I think you're back. So for an actor, the instrument is just their body. So we need to really get into presence there. Jay, do you want to say, try to say again what you were saying about why warm up?
I don't actually know what happened there. Everything just died on me, and I was like, oh. But regardless, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So it's like the whole thing of like getting your body and your mind like in sync with each other to the point where you're completely alert and like you're ready for anything to happen. The kind of thing. That's the kind of way I see it. Like you're fully prepared, and you know in your mind and you know in your body, you can feel it. You're prepared to like do the work that you're about to do, and it kind of just like imagine you've been prepping a show for however long, and then you come to the actual performance and you don't even warm up properly. And then everything, all the effort that you put in, it just crumbles because you weren't fully warmed up and you weren't ready on the day. Like warming up is like so important, so important. Yeah.
And we don't necessarily, just, you'll see an example of it. Warming up isn't necessarily a process of like getting muscly. It's more like, it's Jay, you said this before about like getting into a state of crispy presence, like so that an actor can listen and respond to exactly what's in front of them rather than just rehearsing. So a lot of this is about just alerting, opening your mind and your body, as you said, Jay. Okay, so for those of you out there in the multiverse of this audience space, if you've got a room or a little piece of floor or a corner where you can do some of these exercises, I would encourage you just to give it a try. We're not going to change the world, but it just gives you a chance to sort of experience a little bit of the relaxation and the work that we would do as an actor. So if you want to stand up, you'll just need a little bit of floor space. So I might just continue to adjust my screen so that you can see me. But you're just going to start by standing. I put my two fists together and then I put them in between my toes. And that's about as wide as my hips are. So what you really want to get is a sense of your feet are connecting to the floor on your big toe, the side of your foot, and your heel. And your knees are resting right above your ankle with a little bit of, you don't want to lock them, just a nice sort of relaxed bounce in your knees. And then your hips, you can kind of shake and swing your hips a little bit, which those sit right above your knees and above your ankles. We're kind of stacking so that your body just supports itself. And then your spine is really just resting on top of your hips. So you're not doing this guy here, or you're not, I know some of you might be watching the gymnastics. It's so hard to watch, especially when they do like this kind of thing. That's just what we want to do, is we want to really have our body supported. So you can kind of rotate those hips a little bit, tucking in your back, shoulders over your spine. And then just a long, imagine a little string is attached to the very top of your head. If you have hair, you can even do it. Just sort of pull your head up, nice and long. And then just, you can close your eyes for a second and take a deep breath. And as you exhale, just notice if there's any sensations in your body, if it feels like you have energy or you're buzzing or you feel tired or anything that's in your body, just notice whatever's there right now. Take another breath. And then we're going to start by rolling down our spines. So what that looks like is from the top of your head, you're just going to let your head, your chin go down to your chest. Just start there. It's not a big stretch. We're not like trying to get limber here. We're just trying to sort of open up and activate the body. So just let your chin go. And then with each breath, you're just gonna roll down your spine, keeping the breath going as much as you can. Lots of oxygen coming in and out of your system. Until you're folded down at the waist. And here, just give your knees, I'll move this so that you can see me when I'm down on the floor. Just give your knees a little wiggle here. Shaking gently, and then give them a little bounce. So your body kind of, whoa, bounces here. And Jay will know that sometimes we just make really strange sounds when we're warming up. So if you want to make any noises like or ooh, whatever, just sounds just come out. It's fine. And now we're going to let our tailbone drop all the way to the ground, squatting as far as you can. So you don't want to, again, we're not trying to break any world records here. So if a squat looks like this for you, where you're resting your hands on your knees, great. If you're able to go a little further, great. If you're able to put your knees, your butt all the way down to your heels, great. Some of us just have more flexible knees or hips, no judgment there. So if you're just in this squat, as best you can take your feet nice and wide here. And if it ever gets to be too much, you can put your hands down on the ground too. And we're just gonna rotate our pelvis a little bit. So you're gonna kind of go over to your right, and then over to your left, and then over to your right, just gently. Again, it shouldn't be a big stretch. If you find yourself stretching a lot, or if it feels like, ooh, ow, you can bring your butt up a little bit higher. So you're, even if you're just hanging out like this, it's great. Leaning on your knees or putting your hands on the ground. So as you rotate, keep your breathing going, and just imagine as you take a big inhale that your breath goes all the way down into your hip. So lean over onto your right side, take a deep breath in, and let the air come in all the way to your left hip. It won't really, I know anatomy, but just imagine. And then an exhale, and then lean over to your left. And just imagine your next inhale goes all the way into your right hip. And back to the middle. And one more, over to the left, breathe into your left hip. And let that out, and then lean over to your left. Okay, now wherever you are, let your butt come all the way down to the ground. So you're sort of in a seat. And then let your knees be kind of in a triangle here, like this. And then again, we don't need to be doing our boat pose here. Hold onto your knees or put your hands on the floor. We're just gonna lower our body, rolling our spine down onto the floor. Can you still see me? Yes. Go over here a little bit. I have to say, it's very strange to watch yourself teaching acting class. You should try it sometime, everybody. So You're laying here on the floor, and then let your knees fall over to the left side. So put your knees together and they just kind of fall over to the left. Take a big breath here. And now we're gonna take your right leg and it's gonna go all the way open. So like, imagine, I used to have a teacher that said, imagine that the complete works of Shakespeare, somebody just laid it right on top of your legs. So it's not, again, it's not, for those of you that are athletes, we're not doing like a butterfly, stretchy thing. It's just allowing a little bit of space in your hips. And take a deep breath again. And then let your left leg go over to the right. And come back up. Okay. Give your legs a little shake here. We're just gonna do a little scan of your body. So just wherever you are, even if those of you who had decided I'm too cool for this and I'm not going to do this laying on the floor stuff, you can do this from wherever you are, when you're sitting, standing, whatever, laying in your bed. We're just gonna start by noticing our toes. So just put your mind's attention onto your toes. And then let your attention, it's kind of like a wave coming up through your body. So it goes from your toes to your ankles, just noticing, don't need to change anything. If there's any like tension or gripping, or if it feels good, just put your attention on your ankles. And then come up through your legs. I like to think about this as kind of like a spotlight from like a police helicopter, or from like a, I guess on stage there's spotlights too. Just sort of slowly kind of scanning up my body. So up the legs to the knees. And then continuing the spotlight up to my thighs and my hips and my pelvis. And then continue scanning up your belly, your chest. And then this doesn't quite work so well with the spotlight, but we're going to kind of split the attention and go down our arms. So down your arms to your elbows, to your forearms, your fingers. And let the attention come back up to your shoulders, into your throat, and your jaw, the back of your head, your nose, your eyes, your brow, and the top of your head. Okay, this is the part of the acting class where you fall asleep a little. So with a big breath, we're going to start to reactivate our system now. So take a big inhale through your nose and let it out through your mouth with a sigh. And another one, big inhale through your nose and let it out with a sigh. One more, big inhale through the nose and exhale. Okay, now time to start getting back up. So here's how we're going to do it this time. We're going to roll over onto our right side. Oh no. I remember when I first started taking acting classes, I always hated this part. just wanted to sleep. So now we're going to come back into that squat, whatever that was. So again, it can be way down low, it can be way up high, whatever it is. Come back into your squat. And again, keep that big awakening breath coming. And you can start to really open your eyes here. So inhale. It's like a snake or a, I don't know, I can't think of a metaphor right now, but a big breath. Open mouth, let the air come out. You might start to notice you get a little bit lightheaded, by the way. Let me show you a quick little trick. If you ever get lightheaded, what you do, this is good for life. You put your finger in between your eyes and you stomp on the floor. So if you ever feel like you're gonna pass out, you just go like this. Okay, I don't know why I'm telling you that. Okay, so in a squat, and now just imagine you're a puppet and there's a string that's attached to the top of your butt. It's called your sacrum, this sort of muscle or this bone that sits right above your butt in between your back. And just imagine that there's a puppet string tied there, and the puppeteer is just gonna pull your pelvis up. So let it just sort of float up. Everything else stays loose. Keep the breath going, and your butt is just going straight up to the sky. Or the back of your butt. It's not really possible for your butt to go straight to this guy. And now imagine again, there's a series of strings that are attached to your spine. So in your spine, for those of you that took biology or anatomy, I don't know what the class is called in schools here. These are your vertebrae. They're the little spine, that your spine is made up of lots of little bones. So each of those bones, just imagine that it has a string attached to it. And one by one, this puppeteer is just pulling your body, your strings up until you get to your neck. Keeping the breathing going. And then continuing those string pulls so that your head gets kind of pulled straight up. Let me adjust the screen. Straight up here. So you're nice and long and tall. And now we're going to keep ascending. So imagine that there's strings attached to your elbows, and your elbows just get pulled up like a puppeteer. So you're just this kind of loose puppet, floppy arms, but your elbows are strung up. And now there's strings attached to your wrists, and then your wrists float up. Whew. And then there's strings that are attached to each of your fingers. So your fingers get stuck up. So you're in this kind of overly pulled puppeteer position. And again, just notice your breath. Notice if there's any tension, or if this starts to ache, or you start to get annoyed, or you start to think, what am I doing? And now just imagine somebody comes along with a big pair of scissors and just cuts the fingers. Whew. Then another big breath, and somebody cuts the wrists. Whew, wrists go down. And then one last, somebody comes along and cuts the elbows, and the elbows go down. Okay. So just notice from when we first started with standing here, doing a little body scan, and then we went all the way down, and then we came all the way back up. And just notice if your body feels a little different. Maybe there's a little more looseness. Maybe you're a little more aware. Open your eyes, look over to your left, look over to your right. What we're aiming for here is just a little bit more alertness of your body, of the world around you. Okay, and then just a couple more things, and then we'll get over to the acting part. The reality that we all know about an actor, unless you're Tom Hanks in Castaway, if any, I don't know if any of you have seen that movie, you're all probably much younger than me. We use our voices a lot. We speak a lot. So it's really important to take care of your voice. And that's not just like drinking nice teas. That's great. That'll help. But for people in the world, not even just for actors, but all of us, it's really good to do a little warm up with our voice at the beginning of the day. I know for myself, I spend a lot of time talking in my jobs. And if I forget to warm up, I notice at the end of the day, my voice feels a little strained. I might start to lose my voice. So we're just gonna do a little short vocal warm up, we call this. This all, by the way, if any of you are out there who really wanna do some research, all of this comes from a person named Kristen Linklater, who is the teacher that I studied with. So vocally, we might think that we produce sound from our throat. And the reality is that that's where there's muscles that go together and they vibrate like this, and that's where our throat makes noise. But the air and the energy comes from not our throat. We can talk right from our throat, but we tend to lose our throat right away. We want to be generating energy from our bellies. So there's this muscle called the diaphragm. When you know how you see actors on stage and they're speaking and they're spitting and they're like, look like their bodies are working really hard to say words. That's because they're using their diaphragm to speak. It's a great way to speak with emotion too. So we're just gonna warm this up a little bit with an exercise. So I'll show you from the side so you get a sense of what it actually looks like. So you're just gonna take a big inhale, and instead of inhaling like this, letting your shoulders go up, try to inhale, letting your belly go big. So it should look like this. See my belly? You go like this. So just take an inhale. And then exhale that out. Inhale. Great. Okay. So inhale, fill the belly. And exhale with a loose, soft jaw, just to sigh out. You can do it voiced. So voiced is like this, or unvoiced is like this. So inhale, and voiced or unvoiced, sigh it out. Inhale, and sigh it out. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna inhale, and on the exhale, we're gonna close our mouth, and we're gonna make a sound. So it's gonna go like this. You're gonna go, so you're saying, and then on the open. We're gonna use our voices here. So really relax. We're not singing. For those of you who are singers, we're not trying to get this upright. It's just a very relaxed, soft inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. It should feel really nice and soft, like you're vibrating on your chest. Inhale and exhale. Okay, now we're gonna do just a little bit of warming up of our face, and then we'll take a couple of minute break before we start acting. So if you wanna take your fingers, we're gonna keep that breath coming with the big inhale and the exhale. And this time on the exhale, you're gonna put your fingers up by your nose. So right in our nose, there's all what we call our resonators. I'm gonna do this so you can see me. Resonators, which are all of these things that live between our nose that make the difference between sounding like this and sounding like this. All of that is this instrument in here. So with your inhale, or with your exhale, what you're gonna do is you're gonna kind of give yourself a gentle, no poking, gentle massage in here, and put your sound through your nose. So it sounds like this. I know your parents are gonna be like, what is going on? So is just make that sound. That's it. We're warming up our nasal cavities, this is called. So inhale and exhale. And one more. I know, one more. And exhale. Okay, great. Now, shake it all out. So jump on your legs a little bit, move your feet, wiggle your shoulders, shake your butt, shake your chest, shake your arms, shake your head. Okay, we're warmed up. So what I'd like to do is just take a, what time is it? Perfect. 5-minute comfort bio break. I'll stick around if you've got specific questions that you want to ask, but in 5 minutes, we'll come back and we will focus on the acting training portion of this, okay? So take 5 minutes and see you back here at 15 past. I will just start answering these questions. So Prathidi, you asked, how do you guys know that you're acting, that acting was your path? Jay can speak to this as well when he comes back. But for me, I knew acting was my path because I really, how did I know? Yeah, I think I probably wouldn't have said this at the time, but I can say being on stage felt magical. I specifically act in, I much prefer stage over screen. And for me, I loved creating kind of magical experiences for people in audiences. And I loved the way that it felt to be performing. It's very basic, but that's how I knew that acting was for me. I don't know about you, Jay. So the question is, how do you know that acting was your path? I don't know how you'd answer that.
I would probably say like, sorry, there was a car going past. No, I'd probably say like,
Oh, Jay, your internet's wonky again.
It's when you're like, I said stage acting is definitely like, I enjoy that way. Am I good? Am I still back?
Hey, Jay, your internet's kind of wah. Do you want to try to log out and come back in or something? Sorry. Or maybe there's a different Wi-Fi you can connect to or something. Okay, we got just a couple of seconds left. Let me see the next question. Thank you that I have a distinctive way of speaking and moving. Do you incorporate the way you naturally move into your characters to help connect, or will you also remove them entirely? Great question. So Lou, this for me is what I found. I found that in a lot of ways, the kind of traditional acting world didn't quite fit for me because of the way that I moved, because of the person that I am. Like a lot of the roles, like to be really sort of blunt about it, a lot of the roles were written for like kind of, you know, super straight tough guys. And that's just like not who I am or what I do. So that's why I started making my own work. I tried for a little while to kind of like let go of all my own stuff and play other people, and it just didn't work. So I started making my own work, and I started playing roles, only playing roles that felt like they really aligned with like my way of being, and would allow that sort of, yeah, kind of power to come through, and it's worked great. So like I'm much more inclined to play like Hedwig, or like the MC in Cabaret, or like Puck, or like I don't know, places where I can sort of be wobbly with my body, I guess. Yeah. Okay, there's lots of questions here. This is great. Thank you all for putting these in. We'll spend some time at the end going through these and answering some questions. But I'd like to get on with the acting bit if Jay is here. Yeah, there's Jay. Okay. All right, Jay, let's give it a try. So we've got the second part of this. A lot of times in an acting class, what you get is kind of a little technique. So what I thought I would teach you today is one of kind of the core principles of a technique of acting. There's lots of different schools of actor training. There is everything from kind of the traditional great ones of like the Stanislavski, who's a Russian teacher of acting. And then it descends down the line of people that he trained and people who went in different directions, Lee Strasberg. There's outside in, there's inside out, as in, so one of you asked like the last question about, do I use my body? Sometimes they, there's actor trainers like you embody a character and then that character appears. Sometimes it's you have to get behind the psychology of a character. There's all different schools of how to focus on acting. But one of the main threads of that is identifying the objective, the tactic. Well, let me go in a different order. The objective, the obstacle, and the tactic for an actor, for a character. So I want to offer kind of a framework for what those mean. So you get on stage, you've memorized your lines, you start talking, and then what? This is oftentimes, I don't know if you've seen it, maybe you've done it. Sometimes you just learn your lines and you go on stage and you start talking and you realize it's kind of boring. There's not a lot of action there. There's not a lot of drama. So what we're working towards is creating that drama, creating action, and how to interpret different scenes to create that action or that drama. So Jay, I think you've done a little bit of this objective work before. Do you want to say anything about like, what do you get from it? Why do this work?
I'll probably say because, like you say, there's a lot of like the boring bits where you're just literally just saying lines back and forth with each other. The obstacles, the intentions, the tactics, like those are like the bits in between. Do you know what I mean? Those are the bits that like kind of create the drama and add things to the scene, add substance to it. Do you know what I mean? Make it actually something worth looking at, worth listening to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, exactly. It's what puts the life into it, right? That's great. So let me tell you what these different words mean. So the first of the objective is really, it's what you want in the scene. And I like to teach the objective in really sort of a reductive way that all humans, and this, by the way, is like the school of life. I know I saw one of the chats in there, by the way, that was like, I feel like I'm doing yoga. The insider tip about actor training is like, it's really just learning how to be a better human, physically, spiritually, emotionally. So when we talk about the objective, what we're asking for is, what do you really, really want? And I try to get that down to three things: either control, security, or approval. So when I talk about control, just to say what I mean by that, if I want control, I want to be either in charge. I want to make the decisions. I want to be the one who's like driving the bus. I want to be the one who is deciding things. So that's if you say I want control. I think and that can go in all different kinds of directions. It could be control of money. It could be control of another person. It could be control of the conversation. You want control. The second thing you might want is security. Security would be, I want to feel safe. I want to avoid danger. I want to have, you could get security through money. You could get security through a relationship. You could get security through a job. All of these things support security. And then the third one is approval. So approval is, approval might be, I want love. I want to be liked. I want to be recognized for my good things that I've done. I want attention. All of these things are approval. So I like these because you could say, I want money, as an example, but do you want money because it makes you feel safe? Do you want money because it makes you feel powerful? Or do you want money because it makes you feel loved? So this sort of helps us understand what those things are. So I'll put those in the chat because I know it's a lot of words. So control, security, approval, approval. Okay, so that's what we want. So I think of, I'll use the example of Hamlet. For those of you who are not familiar with Hamlet, it's the story, it's a play by William Shakespeare, and it's a play about a prince whose father was murdered by his uncle. And then his uncle married his mother. Scandalous. And I use it because there's lots of different interpretations of this play. So Hamlet wants to kill his uncle. He wants to revenge his father, is the plot. In that, you could do a scene where what Hamlet wants is approval. He wants to be liked by everyone. He wants to be liked by his mother. He wants to be, he wants everyone to think that he's a great person and will be a great king one day. So that can motivate everything that Hamlet wants. He wants approval. Hamlet might want security. So if Hamlet wants security, he's going to make sure that he's going to kill his uncle without, he wants to make sure that he's going to keep his throne. His uncle's not going to take away his throne. He wants to make sure that he keeps his position safe. He wants to make sure that he keeps himself safe, make sure that he keeps his family safe. So there's like security could be a motivator for him, or it could be control. He wants to control the relationship with his father or with his uncle. He wants to control the way that his uncle is a king. He wants to, if he kills him, then he's controlling the death, right? So you can use it in lots of different ways. And all three of those would be three very different interpretations of the role of Hamlet. Okay, so that's the objective. What do you want? What are you longing for? The second thing that I'll talk about is the obstacle. So what is getting in the way of getting what you want? So an obstacle can be a person. It can be a, oh, sorry. This is the part where you get to do something. So before we go to an obstacle, I want you to think of a character like I just did with Hamlet. It could be from a book. It could be from a play. It could be from a TV. It could be a real life person, famous person. Think of that person. And in the chat, what I want you to do is write the name of that person. So I'll do it as an example. And then say what it is that that person wants: approval, security, or control. So in my interpretation of Hamlet, I would say that Hamlet wants approval. Hamlet really just wants to be loved at the end of the day. So that would be my interpretation of that. So think about it. If you've got a character, it could be from Star Wars, it could be the Queen of England, doesn't really matter. Prospero wants control. Sounds like a great version of the Tempest. I'm assuming that's the Prospero that you mean. Hermione Granger wants approval. Yeah, that's why she puts on that clock and goes back in time to get all of those classes. And great. Romeo wants approval. He just wants to be loved. Yeah, Portia wants approval. Juliet wants approval. Great. Okay, lots of approval here. Ooh, so we've got a Romeo wants security and a Romeo wants approval. Two really different versions, right? Romeo wants security, maybe because he wants love to be safe in the world. And then, yeah, great. Okay, these are great. Iron Man wants security. I think that's true. If you look at that Marvel world, maybe, yeah, security, maybe some control. Security for sure. It's like building a fortress around himself. Okay, and of course you can, as you go through a scene, you can map out at one point you really want approval, and then all of a sudden something shifts and you really feel unsafe and you want security. But that's the work of it. Great. Okay, so you're getting the idea here. I love this. I love seeing these different characters. So the second step is objective or obstacle. So what is getting in the way of that character getting what they want? Oh my God, Rose from Titanic, approval and security. Rose from Titanic, that is some top character choice right there. Okay, so what's in the way? So let's use Rose from Titanic, because it's just love that here. Rose from Titanic wants approval and security, right? She wants love, she wants safety, she wants to feel taken care of, she wants freedom. And freedom is a kind of security. We want to think about the obstacle, which is what is in the way of that happening? What's the barrier to getting what they want? Because if we get on stage and we just get what we want, that's boring. Nothing happens. So we need to, and in life, you can think about this all the time. We always have obstacles, and that obstacle might be something external. So like in the case of Rose, there's the obstacle of she can't get the obstacle is she's engaged to be married to this guy who's a jerk. And then there's the other obstacle, which is an internal obstacle, which is she's scared to let go of all this wealth. She's scared to try something new. So obstacles aren't necessarily just like a fence right in front of you. But it can be a system, it can be a government, it can be one person, or it can be internal. So think about your characters that you just wrote again, and think about what is the obstacle? What is the thing that gets in the way of that person, or that character, getting what they want? So again, I'm gonna say Hamlet. His obstacle of getting approval is his own arrogance. I don't know, sounds like an interesting interpretation of Hamlet to me. So think about it, what is getting in the way if let's see, some of the examples, if Iron Man wants security, what's stopping him from having security? If William O. Douglas wants control, what's stopping him from getting control? If Macbeth wants, yeah, I would say power is control. Then if Macbeth wants power, if Macbeth wants control, what's stopping him from getting that control? And what we'll think about now is, I see some of the stuff that's kind of like the patriarchal society was the obstacle to Portia. Great. What we want to think about as an actor is like there's story that we can weave, but then we want to think about what we would say, the phrase is what's playable. So maybe you're playing Portia and maybe that feels really activating to you. Great. We want to think about what like activates the character to want to push up against something. So the obstacle should feel activating, playable, energizing. So the more concrete we can get, it's great. Great. Yeah, I think you're getting the idea here. Self-doubt, society, yeah, so Sherlock, his inability to predict and understand the human condition in an empathetic way. Great. I would say like, then the playable bit would be like, so he wants control. What's preventing his control is himself. He's in his own way, right? So we can kind of really map it out clearly for an actor to work with. And then the third thing is the tactic. So the tactic is, how do you get what you want? So you've got what you want. You've got the thing that's stopping you from getting what you want. And then you've got to, how are you going to hop over that fence? And tactic, I love tactics. Tactic, you can swap tactics every line. You can change tactics all the time if you want to. Do it, think about this, do this, you've done this in your own life. So let's say that like your parents or your guardians, whoever's taking care of you, whoever you spend time with, let's say they're telling you you can't do something, you can't have something. Think about all the different ways that you go about trying to get that thing. You might start by being really sweet and cleaning the kitchen and like doing all the laundry or something. And then you might like, when that doesn't work, then you might get in their face and scream about it. And then you might tell them, you might try to blackmail them, tell them that you'll tell other people something, or then maybe you'll start pleading, begging with them that you can have the thing. And then maybe you'll start the cycle over. Maybe you'll start yelling again. Maybe then you'll start telling jokes and trying to pretend like it doesn't matter and playing the opposite. You know, like these are all just tactics. It's what humans do. So when we are looking at a scene, we want to start to what we call map out the tactics. So we kind of look at a scene and we notice what's happening, and we try on different tactics. So Jay, I'm sure you've experienced this. It's like in a scene study, you'll do it one time, and then you'll try it with a different tactic at different time and sort of see what comes up, notice what's different. The last thing that I want you to put in the chat is just think of one tactic. So if there's a scene, a specific moment from that character's life, what is it that they are doing in that moment? And I like to think of something that's active: pleading, begging, punishing, fighting, arguing, flattering, fawning, destroying, whatever it is. Think about all the different ways that they are pushing up against. So again, I'll go to the Hamlet example. So Hamlet, to get approval, uses flattering. He flatters, thinking of the scene where he does this to his mother, kind of mockingly, the flattering. So what is it that they do? How do they get what they want? Or how are they trying to get what they want? They might not succeed, but how do they try? Harry Potter, yeah, fighting, using magic, great. Juliet lying and sneaking, yeah, lying, sneaking. Prospero, yeah, control, punish. Yeah, so Prospero, a tactic that he keeps control is he keeps his world small, right? Like he controls, he dominates. especially Caliban dominates that relationship. Yeah, I love this breakdown of Rose DeWitt Bucator here. To get approval, she tries to let go of everything, and then she feels scared, and that's the security. Great. Okay, wonderful. So I think you're getting the idea here. So what an actor would do is you get your script, and before you really do anything, you start to map out, what do I want? What are some of the things that I might want here? What are some of the things that are stopping me from getting what I want? And what is it that I'm going to do about it? How am I going to get over that? How am I going to try that? And what's fun is that in scene study, so when you're working with another person, you can try out a tactic, and that other person might make it very clear that, like, that tactic isn't working for me. So as a scene partner, this is why we do the warm-up. We receive information from our scene partner, and then we just put information back out. So Jay and I are going to do a little bit of a scene study now to give you some examples of different tactics, different ways that we might be able to play with this scene. We're going to, as Liv said at the beginning, we're going to use a very kind of boring, basic scene that is called the contentless scene. I think Liv said that she's going to drop it in the chat. Jay, do you have a copy of that text? You want to put it in the chat for you? Got it? Cool. So we are going to do this scene that is called, What Did You Do Last Night? Jay and I talked about it. So we've got a little bit of a scenario that we're going to try out. So the scene, the basic premise is we're co-workers, right, Jay? And let's see. I'm trying to remember here. So you were going to be doing B. What you wanted was security. So that was your objective. The obstacle was you didn't have the confidence to say no. Is that right? You wanted to be nice. Yeah. And then the tactic we'll play with was like withholding, reserved, hesitant. Is that right?
Yep.
Does that sound good? Okay, cool. And then, so my objective is going to be, what I want is control. I want control in this relationship. And part of that control, what I want is, the obstacle is I don't know how Jay feels about me. So I want control. I want to lock down this relationship, and I don't know how Jay feels about me. So my way of getting that control is to be forceful and direct. Okay, so that's just one example here that we're going to try out, and then we'll go again. So you just get a sense of how different a tactic and objective can shift the relationship. Okay, Jay, how you doing? You feeling good?
I'm good.
Ready to go? Okay, great. Okay, so here we go. So I'll be A, you'll be. Okay. Hi.
Hello.
How's everything?
Fine, I guess.
Do you know what time it is?
No, not exactly.
Don't you have a watch?
Not on me.
Mm-hmm. Well.
What?
Well, what did you do last night?
What do you mean?
I mean, what did you do last night?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Say nothing.
Sorry, I asked.
It's all right.
Okay, great. That's scene and scene. Great, Jay.
I love the breakaway at the smack.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. So yeah, I love this. So this script sounds like a toxic controlling wife to me. I love that because that's our read, right? So now we're going to try it in a different way and just see how the scene changes. So shoot, Jay, I've only got our objectives here. So let's think about our obstacles and our tactics, okay? So my objective is approval. And your objective is still security, but something different. So, so you want security. What's the obstacle to getting security for you? What do you want to play with?
I would probably say like me wanting to keep myself to myself and keep my business my business.
Okay, so you want like so the obstacle is that, so is it that you want to be like private, but the obstacle is you need to be public, or is the obstacle is what you want to be public, but you need to stay private? Do you know what I mean?
The second one.
Okay, so what you want is to be private, but the obstacle is like at your job, you need to be public, vulnerable, open. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you need, so your obstacle is that you need to be open. That's what's being expected of you here. So how are you going to overcome the obstacle of that your job requires you to be very open?
I feel like since we're doing something different, I feel like I want to be more assertive in how private I want to be.
Okay, so not so, because last time you played this kind of reserved, hesitant. So now you're going to do a little more of like a assertiveness. Great.
Like
okay.
a blocking thing.
Okay, great. So what I want is approval. My obstacle is is doubt. I doubt myself all the time. I think that I'm, yeah, that's my obstacle, is I'm in doubt. And then my tactic of how I overcome that doubt is by like fawning, flattering, wanting you to like me. Okay. Okay, so Jay. So same scene, same words, different obstacles, tactics, and objectives. Okay. Hi.
Hello.
How is everything?
Fine. Like I guess.
Do you know what time it is?
No, not exactly.
Don't you have a watch?
No, not on me.
Yeah. Well.
Ooh, well, what?
What did you do last night, huh?
What do you mean?
Oh, what did you do last night?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I said nothing.
Okay. I am sorry that I asked.
Rat.
Okay, great, fun day. So, you can see just how different it can be, how much it can shift, how much it can change, just from like sort of simple little adjustments with the same text, same thing. So imagine what happens if it's like a big, well-written text with lots of different stuff in it. How different interpretations. It kind of makes sense why like you do, 1,000 productions of Macbeth over the course of from now and going backwards. So we've got about 15 minutes now. So now it's your turn. So if somebody would like to do one of these scenes with Jay, or if there's a couple of you who want to come on together and do it, Liv, where are we with the participants?
So, we've already got some people saying already they would like to. Okay. Any other? So, Lou, let's see if we can find you, and I will ask you to unmute and to start your video.
People, they're like, oh, I want it, oh, I want it, oh, I want it.
So many volunteers. It's brilliant. Okay, I'm going to see if we can get Daniela as well to come on. And a dog, apparently.
Yeah, sorry, that's Mabel.
Hi, Mabel.
That's all right.
Great.
Sorry.
Sorry
Postman,
if you hear
postman.
a little noise in the background. My brother and my parents are home.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, so Lou and Daniela, welcome to the party. So what I'd like to try to do is I'm actually going to offer that you have both of you have the contentless scene text with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great, cool. So I'm going to offer that you do the same objective, obstacle, and tactic that Jay and I just did.
Okay.
And just give it a try. So let's say, Daniela, if you want to be the role that I did, so person A on the text here, you can see.
Okay.
And
yeah.
what you want is you want approval. You want to be liked. Yeah, that's what's really motivating you here. Obstacle is that you doubt yourself, that you don't think you deserve to be liked. Okay, so there's some self-doubt there. So the way that you're going to get what you want is by fawning. So like, flattering other people, making other people feel great, powerful. Yeah, cool. Okay,
yeah.
So think about that. So let's pop over to Lou. Hey, Lou. I love is that a giant pencil and a
Oh,
and a
it's a beetle holding a pen. I painted it.
Amazing. Great. Okay, so Lou, so you're gonna play what Jay just played here. So you want security. Yeah, you want to feel safe. You want to feel like your stuff is close to you. The obstacle is that at your job, I'm going to clarify this a little bit, Jay, because I think this is sort of where we went. At your job, the obstacle is that you have to be very open. It's like a very talkative, very social office where you work. Okay. So then your way of getting what you want, which is security, which is, not revealing, is being assertive. Okay.
Okay.
Both of you feel like those are playable enough? You have a sense of how that would work? We can change them if they don't. Just checking in.
Yeah, I'm fine with mine. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Great. All right, so let's just see how it goes. Take your time. Remember, you can breathe as you go. You can pause. There's no need to rush through it. Let's just see what comes up.
Okay. Hi.
Hello.
How's everything?
Yeah, fine, I guess.
Do you know what time it is?
No, not exactly.
Don't you have a watch?
Not on me.
Well,
Well, what?
what did you do last night?
What do you mean?
What did you do last night?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I said nothing.
I'm sorry I asked.
That's all right.
Great. Okay. Now I want to try one thing with you. Let's keep your objective, keep your tactic, keep it all the same, but we're just going to try flipping roles. Just see what happens. It might not make any sense, but let's just try it. So Daniela, you'll read person B, and
Okay.
Lou, you'll read person A. So Lou, your office you have to be open at your office. You have to be friendly, open, wonderful, fun. And you want to be assertive about keeping your safety and control, or your safety and security. Okay.
Okay.
And Daniela, you really want to be loved, and you doubt that you deserve to be loved. Poor thing. Okay. All right. So give that scene a try again, just with the roles flipped.
Hi.
Hello.
How is everything?
Fine, I guess.
Do you know what time it is?
No, not exactly.
Don't you have a watch?
Well, not on me.
Well,
Well, what?
what did you do last night?
What do you mean?
What did you do last night?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I said nothing.
Sorry I asked.
That's all right.
Great. Okay, so just want to check in with each of you. A lot of times after scene work, it's really nice to do just like a little check-in. How was that for you, doing the roles different ways?
I think it was interesting.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fun.
Did you
I kind
notice
of-
anything different between the two different ways of doing it?
I felt. Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. I kind of felt the anxiety of a person who really does not enjoy doing this kind of being open thing and is getting irritated because the other person is not reciprocating how they were supposed to.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
That was fun.
I could
Yeah.
really relate to my character because I've moved a lot of times, and when I move to a new place, I'm always like, okay, I need to talk to everyone, and I must be friends with everyone. So I know
Yeah.
how it feels like to have to be really open with everyone because you don't know anybody at the new place.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, one of the great things about acting is bringing your own stuff with you, like learning your own habits and using them. And I'll just say, Lou, it's great to hear you say that, because I noticed that when you were speaking to Daniela, it felt like this kind of like, it reminded me of this like forced social, like stuffy, like this is the way that we're supposed to be talking.
Yeah, like I've planned this in my head as I've walked up to you, and you're not responding how I imagined you
Right.
to. You're ruining my whole script.
That's great, Lou. Great. Thank you both. That was wonderful. I think what do you think, Liv? Should we do one more, or should we do some questions?
I'm conscious we've got a lot of questions, but also many people who wanted to volunteer. So I think we'll give 2 more people a go. So thank you, Lou and Daniela. If you could mute yourselves now, that would be really helpful.
Thanks.
Cool.
So I'm just going to find it. I think we had Nilakshi. Apologies if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but I'm going to ask you to start your video and unmute. And then
Hello.
hi.
Hi.
Just going to find Amina as your acting partner. So Amina, I'm going to ask you to unmute and to start your video.
Can you see me?
Hey, yeah, I can see both of you. Great. Okay, so let's do the one that we welcome both of you. Thanks for joining in. Welcome. So we've got, let's try the first scene that Jay and I did. So just to say that again. So is it Nilakshi? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, great. So if you want to play, your objective is you want control, right? So you wanna like
like wife, as I said
Yeah.
before.
You want
Okay,
power. Yeah, you want power. You want control here. And the obstacle is you don't really trust this person. You don't really know them. You don't really know their feelings. So the obstacle is you don't trust them. Yeah.
Okay.
So your way of overcoming that is to be forceful and direct. Okay. So there's like a force with you. So you're going to be looking at person A for that. And Amina, you're going to be playing person B. So what you want is security. You want to feel safe. And the obstacle there is you're not confident enough to say no, to sort of walk away. So you, if you remember, Jay was kind of a little hesitant, or so you're just not confident. That's the obstacle there. And so your tactic is to withhold. Yeah.
Okay.
So you want to kind of keep yourself safe because
where do you find the thing? Because I wasn't sent it.
No worries. Let me just drop the text in the chat real quick.
Thank you.
Because there's a link there, but I like to just look at the chat.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Got it? Cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can you see me?
No, both of you are off screen now.
Oh.
Do you need to use it for the text?
Whilst being...
Actually, yeah. All right. Wait a minute. I'll just send it to my phone.
Did you figure it out, Amina?
Yeah, I got it.
Great.
Can you
perfect.
see it now?
Yeah, I can see you. Great.
Okay.
Oh, just a second. Wait. Hi.
Oh. There you go. No.
I have it now. Wait.
Got it? Okay, great. Okay, so whenever we're ready, so we'll start with A and we'll see how the scene goes.
Reading the script just so that you know, I kind of remember it. Like, yeah, I'll try it. All right.
So do you have the script in front of you?
In my mind, if that works, because I don't want to read it, you know, so it
sure.
wouldn't be very. Right. So I
Okay.
just have to portray a sort of vibe, right?
Okay, give it a try.
See.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Hi.
Hello.
You know what time it is?
No, not exactly.
Oh, okay. How you doing?
So no, actually, is it possible for you to look at the script because you're kind of jumping around a lot? So if you,
Okay. Okay. So all right, you just want me to go with all that? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we want to stick to the script. Yeah.
All right. Wait. All right.
Hello.
Hi. How's it?
Hello. Fine, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what time it is?
No, not exactly.
Don't you have a watch?
Not on me, no.
Okay. What did you do last night?
What do you mean?
I said, what did you do last night?
Nothing.
Nothing?
I said nothing.
I'm sorry I asked.
That's all right.
Great. Okay. Great. So I really like this, like the phone dynamics too, the like kind of looking aways, and the you guys just seem like you need a little bit of relationship therapy or something, the two of you. That's great. Really well played. So thank you both. I think that we'll jump on to questions now, if that feels right, Liv.
Perfect, thank you. And apologies to everyone who has dropped a message into the chat. We're very conscious that lots of you would like to have a go, but hopefully it's something that you can complete in your own time, and do send it to us, and I'll cover that at the end with some instructions on how to do that. But we've also got lots of questions to get through that were sent in earlier. So Michael, one of the questions that came up was, how do the warm-ups help in acting?
How do they help?
Yeah.
They help in a few ways. One, for me, they help me to get away from what I came into the room with. So sometimes I come in, I've been riding on the tube and I'm stressed out and I'm like wound up. It's a great way to kind of get into a presence, into relationship, and to, what we're doing is we're embodying a character. So in order to embody the character, you kind of have to be a little bit open, or else you're just going to end up not being open and not being able to receive other people's information. So it's like kind of opening your system a little bit.
Great, thank you. And then another question that we had was around what you find to be the toughest part of acting, and why is it the toughest part of acting specifically for you?
Jay, do you want to answer that? What's the toughest part of acting?
That's a good question. Now, the toughest part of acting, I'd probably say for me the toughest part of acting more often than not is the start. Like, if you find a script or like a piece of work that you don't really know your way in, like, or you're not really like enjoying the work that much, like that whole process of finding where your connection is, where you can actually add a bit of your flavor to it, where you can actually add something that makes you get excited about the work. I'd probably say that's the hardest bit, because reading a script or getting a character or getting this, that, the other, that you just can't relate to, you can't find your angle in order to get your mind in it. Like, once I'm there, cool, we're great, we're moving. Yeah. But to actually get there, sometimes it's a struggle, I'll be so honest.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah, great. I'll just add for myself, I think the hardest part of acting has nothing to do with the acting rehearsal. I think the hardest part of acting is the business and of rejection.
That's tough.
A lot of rejection.
And what are your tips for dealing with that, Michael?
I always have, I've learned to have practices in place for rejection. So like things like, if I start to, one of the things that happens is I'll find out how much money the job makes, and then I'll start to imagine what I'll do with that money. So I kind of check to make sure that I don't do that, like just notice as my brain starts to do that. Another thing is just distraction therapy. So like, as soon as I have an audition or I've submitted something, I will go and like go somewhere, meet a friend, eat some chocolate, like just distract myself from, I'll put it out of my mind. And another great tip is just make your own work so that your work is not reliant upon approval from others.
Great, thank you. And then there was a great question here, and I'm not quite sure exactly how they were framing it, but it was around diversity in an acting career. So I don't know, I can't remember who put the question in the chat, but if you wanted to follow up and explain a little bit more about what you mean by diversity, but maybe Michael, you could tackle that in the meantime.
Well, I guess, I mean, what I hear from that, when I think about like, I think of representation on stage and on screen is sort of how I hear that. And for me, that was a big challenge as a young queer person growing up as an actor, that like, so often the roles that I was being asked to play were like straight guys who were like a little bit toxic, you know, maybe a little bit like the stories from the 1950s, 1960s, just like angry straight men. And for me, that was like, oh, I make my own work then, or I'm really specific about the roles I audition for, because there's nothing, the only thing worse than being asked to play those roles is coming back and finding out once again that you've been rejected from that role, the role that you didn't really want to play. So for me, it's being really kind of choosy about the roles and then creating a lot of my own work so that I feel like I'm telling the story I want. And I think that that's true also for like, I know friends of mine who are like Black actors or actors of color who are just like, I'm just not seeing the roles that I want, so I'm gonna go and make them. Or a disabled artist being like, I'm not seeing disabled bodies on screen or on stage, so I'm gonna go and do that. Like, I'm gonna make my own stuff. And yeah, Jay, you wanna say something?
Yeah, I will say, coming from, okay, you see me, I'm a straight Black male, but I would say for like any person out there, realistically, now is your time. If there's a time within history so that we've lived in this earth where you can get that role, because as the world goes forward and time progresses, a lot of things are becoming more accepted, and a lot of cultures are becoming more accepted, and you see different films and movies, and that's the same thing, like different mediums and different platforms for everyone. Like, okay, let's see, this is a weird tangent, but even looking at a simple movie like In the Heights, right? All the people of that cultural background are being given a chance to shine, right? Are being given a chance to show off their culture, are being given a chance to show essentially what their culture is about. And basically, I feel like it's down to you as the individual to either create your own work, or when the opportunities arise for you, whether you're Black, Asian, or whatever descent you are, to step forward and be like, this is my time. I feel like you have to grab these situations by the horns, and you gotta take action. If you see that there's roles for Asians out there, you see there's roles for Black people, you see there's even roles for white people, like any descent that you are, you have to go out and look for it and take it by the horns, because there will be opportunities. There's always something for everyone, whether you're disabled or anything. Like, literally, there is opportunities out there for everyone. You literally just have to go out and find them.
Great, thank you, Jay, and thank you, Michael, for that. That's
thank you for coming to us.
Motivational. And then we've got lots of other questions. I'm really conscious of time, so I'm going to try and rattle through some of them. So there were 2 questions that were about advice for aspiring actors. So maybe, Michael, you could address this one. So we had one question that was generally advice for aspiring actors on how to polish skills, but then there was also a question around tips for aspiring voice actors. So if you could do both of those for us.
Did you say polish skills? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so there was a question for aspiring actors on how to polish skills, and then advice for aspiring voice actors.
Mm-hmm. So for polishing your skills, I would say find a place where you can train with other people, practice. Like it could be a school, it could be just an acting class, but just do it over and over, and not just plays. For me, at least, not just plays. Or not just films. Like, it's great to learn on the job, but it's also, in my personal experience, it's like in sports, you know, like you can go and play tennis all you want in a game, but until you do the drills of like forehand, I don't know if you play tennis, whatever, but you know, like repeating the strokes over and over and over again, you're not going to get better. If you play basketball, you can go and play basketball and play basketball and play basketball, but until you sit there and you just like practice your free throws over and over and over again, you're just not going to improve. So for an actor, I always say, like, get your training in, get your reps in, practice. There are other people who totally disagree with that, but that's my thing. And then for voice actors, I think it's a similar thing. It's like really learning your instrument, treating your instrument. If you're thinking of your voice, some of those warm-ups that we did at the beginning, really getting to know all the different tones and all the different resonators and all the different capacities for your voice. It's like you're taking the whole instrument and going like this, but you need to have that awareness of your body to be able to build that.
Brilliant, thank you. And then Daniela, who I believe we had on screen earlier, asked a great question around having an accent, whether that's an issue in the industry. Michael, could you talk about that for a little bit?
Well, I don't know. All of you have accents. I don't have an accent. But yeah, no, I think that in my experience, you know, I know that I had some friends who were Americans who said like they had a really hard time working here. I've never found that my, the only thing that an accent I find to be a barrier is that there's cultural stories that people have about your accent. So one of the things that I notice is that in general, because of the way that I talk, there is an assumption that I'm a little bit less intelligent. So that's just like a barrier that I have to sort of acknowledge, that there's, especially in this country, there's a little bit of a, Americans are just so eager and motivating and a little bit unintelligent. So so that's just one of the barriers that I'm facing. So you might run into kind of that kind of barrier thing, but I think that your accent can be a real asset. Similar to sort of what Jay was saying about like your cultural heritage or your background, your ethnicity, like these things can be an asset. So now is a great moment in which I think in London and in the UK in general, there's a real celebration of like difference on stage. So accent is a great way to represent that.
Great, thank you. And then another question here, what's your favorite part of acting? So Michael, what's your favorite part of acting?
My favorite part of acting is performing, is the actually getting to do the thing in front of people. Yeah, it's like the moment where I lose sense of space and time, and you know, feels sort of like a magic place that I go to.
Brilliant. And Jay, it would be great to hear from you. What's your favorite part of acting? But also it would be nice to hear what's your favorite part of acting at NUA.
I'll answer the second question first. So my favorite part about acting at NUA is the fact that everyone in the room is working towards the same thing, and we're kind of like all in it together, because once we're here on our course, we're all like a little family in a sense. Like we're all kind of like looking out for each other, like making sure everyone's okay. And like I kind of like the comfort I kind of get from being like, hey, this person, even though they're older than me by a couple of years, they're still trying to do the same thing as me. And around and feeling like, hey, we're all trying to do the same thing here. And I kind of enjoy that. Oh, am I back or am I still lost?
I think you're back. Let's give it a go. Go for it. Okay.
So it's kind of like the thing of like, we're like a little community here that we're all like working together to get the job done. Like it's kind of weird like that, but I'd say my part about acting in general, I'd pick between two things. One, obviously the performing, like, because when you're on stage and you're having those moments where, for example, when you do like a performance and everything goes everything goes how you planned it, this and the other, that, and you're in the scene and you're literally feeling like electricity between you and your scene partner, and you can tell that the audience is vibing what you're doing, they're enjoying it, they're laughing, they're crying, whatever the emotion you're trying to invoke. I'm really talking a lot, but like when you can see that people are fully engaged in what you're doing, that is amazing. But my second favorite part would probably be when you're like in the rehearsal and you're kind of like, how do I say, like you're playing about with different scenes, you're playing about with different characters. Like when you're fully trying to find what is going to be in the final product, when you're having that moments of like, you know what, let's try it this way, or let's try it this way, let's try it this way, let's try it this way. Like those moments when you're with your company or with your group or even by yourself, and you're kind of just practicing and doing things differently. I find that really fun because you can really you can learn so much about yourself, you can learn so much about the people around you, and I think that process is just really fun. We'll just play it.
Brilliant, thank you, Jay. And then I think this is going to have to be our last question, which is acting just about playing people or actually being that person? So Michael, if you could talk, I know this is kind of one of the big questions, I think, for acting. So if you could address that for us. Oh, and you're muted, Michael.
Unmute me. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, it's, I would say the simplest answer is just all about approach. It can be however you want to. You know, there are what's called method acting, which is what some actors do. So the example here is if you're locked in a house for a month, do you lock yourself in your house for a month? Like there are some people who are like, yeah, the only way that I can understand what it's like to be locked in a house for months, I've locked myself in a house for a month. I think we all actually know what that's like now, to be fair, after this pandemic, but just in that example. So, I mean, my approach would be, it's not about understanding the internal experience of how that would feel. It's about how do you play that. So you can build in what's called the given circumstances all you want. And I think you can really get stuck in your head. You can be like, oh, okay. So if I'm playing Hamlet the whole time, I'm thinking like, oh, I remember my 5th grade birthday party when my mom and my dad were there. And, you know, and like you can sort of build this whole backstory. But ultimately, what Jay is talking about, like the magic, the energy, the sophistication of acting is about the moment, the actual action. So if you do all that homework and you go and you lock yourself in a house for a month, and then what you actually put on stage or screen is just kind of flat, doesn't matter. So I think that it's fine if you want to go and do that approach where you're fully sort of living in the life of a person. But I also think that it's just about finding the action and the creative imagination part.
Brilliant, thank you. So I think we'll leave it there for the questions for the moment. And I've just got a few bits to go through with everyone before we finish up today. So first of all, I just want to remind you that we have a really wide range of workshops across the summer school series for you to get involved in. So you can access these either through recordings, or hopefully many of you will join us for some more live events. We'd love to see you there. So these workshops will cover a huge range of different practices, from designing architectural structures, from developing character design skills, and even skills for promoting drag culture. So there's lots for you to get involved with. All of our workshops are very much designed to give you an insight into the different areas that your creativity could take you, and also to suggest the different career paths that will be open to you. So if you haven't already, you can book your place via our website, and we'll drop the link into the chat for you. So please do check that out and make sure you're booked on to any other sessions that you'd like to attend. We're also, as you may know, offering the very exciting opportunity to get your very own official NUA certificate. And this is a great asset to be able to talk about in any UCAS personal statement that you might be putting together. To get hold of one of these certificates, you'll need to attend 6 of our 12 workshops, and we'll need to see 3 outcomes from workshops that you've attended. Please be aware that any work that you submit might be used in any future promotional material that we put out, whether that's on social media or by email. With your 3 outcomes, we'll be looking to receive them by email, and Gavin has just helpfully put the email address in the chat. So it's student.recruitment@nua.ac.uk. So please do make sure to email them over to us, and make sure that you put the subject title as the summer school and the title of the workshop that you're submitting the work for, and make sure that you include those workshop titles in the body of the email as well, so we know what they relate to. These outcomes can be something that you've made as part of the workshop during the session, or something that you've made afterwards in response to the workshop. So for example, for today's session, you could submit a short recording of yourself using the contentless scene and letting us know the objective, tactic, and obstacles that you were using in the recording. You can read one character's lines from the scene, or you could kind of rope in a friend or a volunteer to read the scene with you. Do just make sure that if you are involving someone else in the scene, that you have their permission to send the recording to us. And your recording should be no longer than 1 minute. Alternatively, for today, you could provide a short piece of writing, identifying a well-known character like we did earlier, and just letting us know their objective, tactic, and obstacles, and some notes about how you might approach this in a scene. So each week we will also be giving away an exciting prize, and all you have to do to be in with the chance of winning it is to complete the feedback form, which we'll be sending to you by email at the end of each week. So there are lots of different opportunities to win yourself a prize, so make sure that you're sending back that feedback form to us each week. So we'll hang on here for a few minutes more just to see if there are any kind of closing questions. But I'd like to say a huge thank you to everyone who took part today, who was brave enough to come on screen. So thank you for getting stuck in with us and reading through that scene together. And of course, a huge thank you to both Michael and Jay for leading the workshop for us today. So I'm just going to have a look through the chat just to see if we've got any other questions, but if you have got to rush off, please do feel free to leave now, and we'll just hang on for anyone who's got extra questions. So I can see someone has messaged me privately to say they got disconnected just before I was going through what you've got to do in terms of the outcome for today. So just to repeat that again, the outcome from today could be a recording of no longer than a minute of you reading through the contentless scene, either on your own or with a friend. And if you can just let us know in the email what your objective, tactic, and obstacle was, or alternatively, you can submit a piece of writing, like we did earlier in the chat, where you can identify a well-known character, their objective, tactic, and obstacle, and just some notes about how you might approach that within a scene. So we've got lots of lovely thank you messages. So someone's asked, can we submit our notes instead? So I would say that if you could just type up your notes nicely around the character, like I've suggested, and just clearly put what their objective, obstacle, and tactics were, and how a bit more information about how you would approach it, that would be great. And then deadline for submitting your work, I would aim to submit to student.recruitment@nua.ac.uk as soon as you can, but absolutely by the end of the summer school series. So it would be helpful for us if you could get it in as soon as possible, and we can track your responses coming in. Let me just scroll through. And yes, the recording will be emailed. So we'll be sending those out as soon as we're able to, and you'll be getting the link by email. So I think that might be all of the questions. So again, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Jay. Michael, did you want to finish up by saying anything?
Yeah. Good luck out there.
Great. Thanks, yeah. Michael.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Have a nice rest of your week, and see you soon.
Brilliant. Thanks everyone. Thank you for taking part, and hopefully we'll see you again soon at a future summer school session. So bye for now.